in the apartment having gay sex. That's not our podcast.
Having gay sex. That's not this podcast.
Oh, it's a different podcast. We're in the apartment, we're having gay sex. Different podcast.
Different podcast. Hello and welcome to How We Live Online. I'm Christina.
I'm Joanna.
Today we are going to review the movie Do Revenge because we just watched it yesterday.
Yeah.
And we will have our regularly scheduled research episode next week. It's the holidays. And we watched Do Revenge because a friend of the pod, Maya, wanted to watch it with us. And we did. And it was so good that we had to talk about it. And yeah, Joanna, what did you think? Can you actually, why don't you start with your initial reaction to the movie? Also, this will contain spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers.
So go watch the movie and then come listen to this. It's worth the watch.
Yeah, I really liked it. I'm a big fan of like hijinks movies and girl movies. And this had basically everything for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really well done. And the story was really good. And I didn't anticipate at all sort of what happened.
Yeah.
Which is funny. I thought that it was based on a movie that it's not based on at all.
Right. I think it is loosely not based on, but interacts with the tropes of Cruel Intentions and Heathers. It also felt very like Scream Queens to me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the story is loosely based on Strangers on a Train.
Oh, it is?
Yes. Just so I've never seen Strangers on a Train, but I was just reading this. Seems really interesting. It's a Hitchcock movie.
So the director is Jennifer Caton Robinson, and she also did Thor: Love and Thunder. Oh, and she was a writer on She was a writer for Thor: Love and Thunder, and she was a writer for Someone Great, which
She directed Someone Great. That was her debut.
Wait, she directed it too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which we also watched together.
Yes. Someone Great is really great too.
Is that one? I kind of forget what happens. I remember liking it too. Is Someone Great like a movie where everything happens in one night? Because I love movies like that. I think it is, right? It's like them, like she just broke up with her boyfriend and they're like going out and it's like one night.
Jenny enjoys one last NYC adventure with her two best pals. I haven't seen it since it came out, but yeah, I do think that the one night thing sounds correct. Yeah. We could also get Maddie up here, who just wrote an essay. My little sister just wrote an essay for her English class about that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, Jennifer Caton Robinson wrote and directed this and Someone Great. Both fantastic movies. Yes, it's definitely a hijinks movie, and I think that there's this major twist in it. Wait, were you gonna say something about what were you looking at?
Strangers on a Train.
Okay, what about it?
So it's loosely based on on a Train.
Okay.
Loosely based on Strangers on a Train, which is a Hitchcock film. And the basic premise of it is that two people do each other's murder.
Oh, okay.
In order to get away with it.
Okay.
So
I haven't seen it, but I'm interested if that also has the twist. I don't know. But I think because we were presented so early on with all these high school tropes and like very recognizable costumes and groups and social politics, I was expecting the plot to follow a similar pattern that I recognized, which was, so basically, if you want to spoil the movie and you're listening to this and you don't know what happens, these two girls, Drea and Eleanor, decide to do each other's revenge on other people in this high school, because they're in such different cliques, no one could ever guess. And the twist is that Eleanor lied to Drea the entire time and was actually getting revenge on something that Drea did to her at summer camp many years ago. And so what I was anticipating was like, okay, they do the swap where like the girl who is not cool becomes cool. That's Eleanor. And as soon as she gets cool, like she's not going to try to help Drea anymore. And she's going to get totally enmeshed in this life of like luxury and high class. And it's going to destroy their friendship. They'll both like end up telling each other's secrets and everything will implode in their faces. And their honestly C plot, not even B plot, C plot love interests it'll blow up in their faces too.
Mhm.
That's what I was anticipating. But what actually happened was there was this twist where we find out that it's not that Eleanor is going to be obsessed with being cool. It's that actually she has been ruining Drea's life by getting super close to her this entire time. And I just watched the first like 5 minutes because my mom turned it on. And as soon as we see Eleanor, one of the first lines in Drea's voiceover at the party when the movie opens is, "Trust me, in this story, nothing is as it seems." Which, in the context of you're starting this movie where like this girl's at a huge party and you're starting to realize that like she DIY'd her social status, you're like, oh, like she's not actually, high society or whatever. Like that's the thing that's not as it seems. But it is like, if anyone's read Save the Cat, it is like a thing to include the theme of your movie in dialogue or in like a visual, and you try really hard to hide it, but you want to prime your audience for that. And I thought they did this really well because, my initial brain watching that was like, oh yeah, nothing is as it seems because she's because like her mom's a nurse and she's actually middle class. But really it was a reference to the twist that was not expected. So
Great catch.
yeah, I just from watching it over, because when that twist happened, I was like, oh my God, I have to go back and like see how they hinted at this.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I really liked about the movie was, and I think in hindsight, like this is another thing that rewatching I would notice more, is the different moments when each of the main characters is the narrator. Because there was like a definite moment after the twist is revealed where I truly did not know who to sympathize for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because before that, right before the twist, Drea commits like an ultimate friendship sin and she forgets Eleanor's birthday and she's just like so mean of a friend. And then but then all of a sudden, like you realize that Eleanor is playing her the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was so interesting to be so conflicted about like who to feel bad for. And I just really loved the feeling of like how complicated it was and that you felt bad for both of them. And I just felt like it was like they did a really good job of making those characters like evil and sympathetic in the way that like a lot of people are in high school, like because you're young and you really don't know anything.
Yeah, you have a really limited perspective. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the character development for the two main characters was really great. And like I would argue that Drea is the main character, but only barely so. Like it does feel like it's both of their stories. I do think that like the fact that we're conflicted about whose side to be on means that the writing is really, really fantastic. Like
Yeah.
to not be able to take sides is such a great nuance, like because it is their story, it's their friendship. I remember feeling like, oh, I wanted more of like this C plot love story, but it was just like so not as compelling. And I just am a sucker for a love story, so I wanted to know more about it. And in the when the credits roll, they kind of like they tie those loose ends with the love interest by the end. Yeah, I thought that the soundtrack was really good.
Mhm.
I also think that you and I are the perfect viewers for this. Like, we both watch kind of like high femme cult classic stuff. I think that we knew all of the songs. I understood a lot of the references, and the outfits felt the cinematography was beautiful.
It was so visually interesting.
Yeah, like when Drea's sitting in the crowd and there are moments where either there's like a perfect line of students, all perfectly separated by like 6 inches apart or whatever. And there are multiple moments where like everyone's sitting still and she's like sipping on a cup and she's wearing a hat and no one else is wearing a hat, or everyone else is wearing a hat and she's not wearing a hat, and she's always sticking out in this very like linear way. It's very visually satisfying.
Mhm.
What like other visuals stood out to you?
I mean, like all the parties were like really cool to look at. I mean, like you said earlier, I felt like it was, is it now that is it homage or it's homage, right? Not homage. Why am
Yeah,
I,
an homage.
yeah,
Yeah, I
why did I
think
just
an
say that?
homage.
Is
Some
homage?
people, I don't know what people say, but HOMAGE, that.
Yeah, homage. It definitely visually also paid homage to like all the classics.
Hmm.
The uniforms were so funny. The outfits were so funny. Like I love it's one of those things that felt like an instant classic in terms of like really obviously it's not a representation of like how I see people dress on the street, but like it feels like it's accurate for our time period in the same way that like Clueless is accurate for its time period. Like just so over the top embellishment of like what style is like today,
Yeah.
which I thought was really interesting.
Like what high schoolers could wear if they had the money and they didn't have any, I don't
Dress
know, like
code.
practical obstacles. Like they could just wear heels and like be ridiculous looking and wear very heavy jewelry.
Yeah.
Okay, something that I was thinking about the costumes, because when they did the makeover for Eleanor
Mhm.
and they put her hair super far to the side, I was like, this is very off. Like, as soon as they did that to her, I was like, I assumed that they were trying to make her seem like really uncomfortable in that outfit and that makeover because I felt like they were dressing her exactly like Drea, and on her like frame and her just like the way that she moves her body, I thought it didn't look good. And I was like, okay, I think that this is because like this character is in an uncomfortable situation. Like that's why this costume designer isn't putting her in similarly styled or similar taste stuff, just in like a different silhouette.
Mhm.
And it reminded me of that episode of Euphoria where Cassie is trying to look like Maddie, and they put her in like really cool toned makeup that just made her look like really bad, but
Mhm.
it's all in the same, like it's the same kind of makeup that would go on this other character, but it looks extremely off. Like she just looks really bad even though she has this full face of like professionally done makeup. And
Mhm.
so when I saw that on Eleanor, I was like, oh, like I I think because this is such a visually rich movie, I was like, oh, they're signaling that like, this isn't gonna last, or like she isn't really like this on the inside, or she feels off. But then with the twist, I was like, no, it's because she's evil. It's not off because she feels uncomfortable. It's off because she's evil, evil. That was like the first thing that clicked for me. Like when the twist happened, I was like, oh, like that's why they didn't do like a girl next door, long hair, long blonde hair. They did this like harsh side part bob. Where like, did you think that when they did her hair that way? Or no? You
I
just
thought
thought
it
it was
was
like
like,
a posh.
I was like, oh, it's like Parisian or Parisian. I don't know why.
Parisian.
Like second guessing all my pronunciations of French words today. Not that I know French at all. But yeah, I was like, oh, oui. Like it's it must be that. And yeah, I guess I also thought like, because I did have a fun game for us to play, which is how tall do you think Maya Hawke is? I just thought of this.
Did you look it up?
I'm looking it up right now. How tall do you think she is? Just
I
by
think she's 5'9".
That was a really good guess. I would have guessed 5'10", but she's 5'8". So that makes me feel like everyone else in that movie is really short. Because
I felt like she looked really, really tall, but she was next to Camila Mendes, who I assumed to be short.
okay, how tall do you think she is?
5'4", 5'3", 5'4".
5'2".
Dang, wait. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because
she's in heels the whole time.
Tall, and I'm 5'8".
You guys are the same then.
This is an audio medium, so no one can know if I'm really 5'8" or not.
Well, join us 7 feet.
Taller. Around 7 feet.
Just around.
Right. Yeah, just around.
That was a really fun game.
Yeah.
How tall is who the fuck is that actor who's Max? Is that the guy's name?
Yes. Can I say
Can we figure that out?
I looked at everyone's Wikipedia and his was like the most. Oh wait, no, he just has a weird picture on Wikipedia. Like he's not facing the camera. I assumed he was like by far way older than everyone else, but he's actually not that old. He's 26.
Mm-hmm.
He is in Euphoria. I've never seen Euphoria, but he's Ethan Daly.
That's funny that they're both in it.
Yeah. The other thing I thought was really funny is that he was in. Did you ever see The Kings of Summer?
No.
Well, you know about Paper Towns.
Yeah, I know about Paper Towns.
Paper Towns. So what I think is really funny about being 26. So he's one of these people who was in Paper Towns in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he played like a high schooler or like a younger kid, but it's really funny that you could like be, and even in the Kings of Summer movies 2 years before that. So like basically have like an almost 10-year career playing a high schooler. It's
actually fun. Though.
Yeah, except his makeup was the worst. Like I felt like he was weird to look at. Like the light just didn't settle right on his face. Like
maybe they were trying to make him look evil.
Maybe because he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also felt like that part wasn't super well done to me of like why people liked him, which I guess is like always kind of hard with like the person that like everyone loves just because they love them, but like for him, especially because like he just looked weird. Like from the first moment you saw him, it's he like looks old and he just like looks bad. Like it yeah, it's kind of like he's slimy. Why does everyone love him?
Yeah. Did you feel like there was going to be more violence than actually happened?
Violence?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I was honestly kind of expecting murder a little bit.
Because
of Heather's. And so like, because once she punched him and it cut so fast, I was like, oh, like this is different. Like it's bad. But then like the most violent thing that happened was that she got hit by a car. which is also bad. Also Mean Girls. And I was half expecting them to like kill Max. I was like, I wouldn't even see, like, I would not be surprised if in this moment they kill him or push him off or drown him or something and then say like he drowned at this party.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it being discussed, but I do think it like would have, like how we were talking about how like they were so sympathetic. I kind of think that like if they had really murdered, then they would have just kind of lost all sympathy and relatability.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Can you tell the people what you said immediately after the movie ended?
oh my God. Okay, like I'm not kidding. In the moments where what moment was it? I feel like I mean, it was after the twist, but I don't know when exactly it was, but they were just like sort of, espousing to each other like what they had done. And it was clear they had this like strange, twisted friendship. And like,
Wait, where was this conversation happening? With the
I can't
pancakes?
remember exactly. Like, I think it was when Eleanor was like making her the sandwich, and like you, it was just a moment where they were like, they're just
Wait, do
like
you mean the
cosmically
pancake?
linked. It wasn't a pancake. It was a grilled cheese,
Oh.
wasn't it?
Oh,
Why
wait.
would they? Why would you have a single pancake for dinner? That was
I
grilled cheese.
I don't know. Oh wait, and they talked about grilled cheeses earlier in the movie, so you're
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
I don't know. I just thought. Anyway, excuse me. Continue. So
They
that
just like there was a moment when like yeah, it was like wow, you guys are like twisted friends. And maybe it was when there was like the sequence of their happy moments together. And when Dre was like, the best moments I had this year were when we were together, like it was
Mhm.
having fun. And I just loved how like I said earlier, I just loved the feeling of like it like them having such a complicated relationship
Mhm.
and just fully embracing it. And after the movie ended, I told Christina we needed to get in a big fight so we could do revenge on each other, but then also just like be vengeful friends. Like
Yeah, like it would bring us closer together.
I just really loved that. Like,
Okay, what about this? What if I what?
you want to know something funny too? Literally, so my younger sister Nina, she a few days ago, because it was over Thanksgiving, so big family time.
Mm.
She literally said to me like, "What would happen if we ever got in a fight?" And I was like, "I don't think we ever would get in a fight. Like, I don't really know if I ever have been in a fight
You've never
with
been in a
anyone.
fight with Nina?
I mean, we've gotten in fights, but like nothing ever like one, not in our adult lives, and two,
Yeah.
like nothing important. Like we've never had like a big disagreement where like
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to speak to her.
Yeah.
But also watching the movie made me think of that because I was like, maybe it would be fun to like be in a fight with someone, but also like somebody that
You
I
have
just
to come back to like Nina.
right, like
Yeah.
also people do get estranged from their families, but I don't know, there's something about like they had like an unconditional friendship love. Like,
Yeah, because like they had seen each other at their worst and most evil.
yeah. And they like were the same. Like,
Yeah, it's like, oh, like, yeah, I did something really fucked up. You just did something really fucked up too. So like, okay, I guess we'll be friends now.
yeah. Well, what you said was that we needed the common enemy.
Right. Well, okay. My thought when you said that initially, which is like, I don't think this is a good idea, but I think it'd be so crazy, is if I were like, okay, Joanna, like you pick an aspect of my life and try to destroy it, and I'm gonna try to figure it out. Like I like give you full permission to fully manipulate me and like try to change something, like break me up with my boyfriend, estrange me from my family.
I think that would be really fun, like but like you could pick like you could make a list as long as you want of things like I'm not allowed to fuck up. And I
But
would
I feel like I have to let it be anything. And then because the thing is that like I have to figure it out.
it doesn't have to be, I don't think it has to be anything because like I feel like I'm like my head is really swarming with ideas. Okay, can we also sidebar, like I'm sure a lot of people listening know this, but Christina and I love pranks. Like, that's the other thing. For reference, I pulled a really great prank with my sister over Thanksgiving. We made people eat Brussels sprouts um covered in chocolate that looked like turkeys
Cake
because
pops
oh yeah, they were cake pops.
designed with turkey, not
Yeah,
with turkey.
with turkey.
They were
They
cake
did,
pops that looked like turkeys and on the inside had Brussels sprouts.
yeah, and some had mashed potatoes and some had actual cake or sweet flavorings, but some didn't. And it was great fun.
Yeah.
But
So I don't like, I'm not giving you permission, but I am saying like, what if I did? How crazy. And
yeah,
then you would be like, trying to do and I would just make me paranoid. I'd have to be like, wait, did this bad thing just happen to me because like Joanna just gave me a parking ticket? That
yeah,
kind of
there's
thing.
so many, like there are a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of ways to go with that, even if you set like 10 things off limits, like there's still like so many things I could come up with.
Okay, well, don't do it.
I won't. I mean, I
Well,
will be brainstorming, but like I won't.
all right. Okay, maybe over winter break when I'm bored, you can. And like if we set a time limit, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom's yelling at me for me. I don't know. Yeah, I think that there are many pranks to pull. And I think that pretending to be someone's friend and then ruining their life and their chance at going to college is a mean one. That's not really a prank anymore, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she had the chance, she had the opportunity to go to Yale again at the end, but she didn't take it.
That's
She
true.
realized
So,
those were more important things than Yale.
yeah, all hope was not, in fact, lost for her. Sidebar, Camila Mendes is truly so gorgeous. I was enraptured.
It was really funny because my mom was like, "Oh, who was in the movie?" And I said, "Oh, just a bunch of nobodies." And then I looked up who everyone was. I was like, "Fuck, I just don't know any of the
I don't
actors."
know who anyone is.
Yeah, I don't watch any of the shows the young people are on.
Yeah, I always forget Buffy's name, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yes.
Yeah, she just is gorge too, as
Mhm.
is Maya Hawke, as is all those friends.
Yeah.
Everyone in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that was one thing I didn't like too, was especially at the end when you said they're both so skinny when they were kissing. Everyone in the movie was really thin.
Everyone in the movie was rail thin.
Mhm.
Yeah, and at the end, Eleanor is making out with this girl, and they're both like just so thin and like rolling around. Their bodies aren't even touching because yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie though. And
Yeah.
on IMDb it has a 3 out of 5, which means that people don't know what they're talking. Like, don't watch that movie if you like, I don't know, like art film, like art house. So I don't know.
Watch the Fast and
Like
Furious.
just like have just this movie was really good because it was really twisted. Like the themes were really twisted, but the visuals were right and, as my mom described, bubblegummy and
Ooh.
crazy. And that's why it really reminded me of Scream Queens, which I think if Scream Queens came out now, it would have a very different audience response, but we
Yeah.
can't even get into that. And we're at time now, so
Yeah.
Everyone watch Do Revenge and let us know what you think.
Let us know if there's any other movies you think we should review. Thanks again to Maya for making us watch it.
Yeah, that was very nice of her for telling us to do that. And we will talk to you guys next week. Make sure that you like and subscribe and send this pod to your friend that you watch Do Revenge with.